Chapter 50. The wind in the morning was warm and wet. It blew wisps of cloud over the blackened chimneys where 𝘈𝘲𝘻𝘗's house had stood. Thin smoke blew flat across the fields. A few raindrops struck coals and exploded in tiny puffs of steam and ashes. A fire truck stood by, its light revolving. S.F. Ainsworth, FBI Section Chief, Explosives, stood with Graham upwind of the ruins, pouring coffee from a thermos. Ainsworth winced as the local fire marshal reached into the ashes with a rake.
"Thank God it's still too hot for him in there,"
he said, out of the side of his mouth. He had been carefully cordial to the local authorities. To Graham, he spoke his mind.
"I got to audit hell. This place'll look like a fucking turkey farm soon as all the special deputies and constables finish their pancakes and take a crap. They'll be right on down to help."
Until Ainsworth's beloved bomb van arrived from Washington, he had to make do with what he could bring on the plane. He pulled a faded Marine Corps duffel bag out of the trunk of a patrol car and unpacked his 𝘈𝘢𝘢𝘵𝘗𝑚𝑒𝑐S underwear and asbestos boots and coveralls.
What did it look like when it went up, Will? A flash of intense light that died down. Then it looked darker at the base. A lot of stuff was going up. Window frames, flat pieces of the roof, and chunks flying sideways, tumbling in the fields. There was a shock wave and the wind after. It blew out and sucked back in again. It looked like it almost blew the fire out.
The fire was going good when it blew?
Yeah. It was through the roof and out the windows upstairs and down. The trees were burning.
Ainsworth recruited 2 local firemen to stand by with a hose, and a third, dressed in asbestos, stood by with a winch line in case something fell on him. He cleared the basement steps, now open to the sky, and went down into the tangle of black timbers. He could stay only a few minutes at a time. He made 8 trips. All he got for his effort was 1 flat piece of torn metal, and it seemed to make him happy. Red-faced and wet with sweat, he stripped off his asbestos clothing and sat on the running board of the fire truck with a fireman's raincoat over his shoulders. He laid the flat piece of metal on the ground and blew away a film of ash.
"Dynamite,"
he told Graham.
"Look here.
See the fern pattern in the metal?
This stuff's the right gouge for a trunk or a footlocker. That's probably it. Dynamite in a footlocker. It didn't go off in the basement, though. Looks like the ground floor to me. See where the trees cut there? Where that marble tabletop hit it? Blown out sideways. The dynamite wasn't something that kept the fire off it for a while."
"How about remains?"
"There may not be a lot, but there's always something. We've got a lot of sifting to do. We'll find him. I'll give him to you in a small sack."
A sedative had finally put Reba McLean to sleep at DePaul Hospital shortly after dawn. She wanted the policewoman to sit close beside her bed. Several times through the morning, she woke and reached out for the officer's hand. When she asked for breakfast, Graham brought it in. Which way to go? Sometimes it was easier for them if you weren't impersonal. With Reba McLean, he didn't think so. He told her who he was. Do you know him? She asked the policewoman. Graham passed the officer his credentials. She didn't need them. I know he's a federal officer, Miss McLean. She told him everything. Finally, all about her time with Francis Dollar Hyde. Her throat was sore, and she stopped frequently to suck cracked ice. He asked her the unpleasant questions, and she took him through it, once waving him out the door while the policewoman held up the basin to catch her breakfast. She was pale, and her face was scrubbed and shiny when he came back into the room. He asked the last of it and closed his notebook. I won't put you through this again, he said, but I'd like to come by just to say hi and see how you're doing. How could you help it? A charmer like me. For the first time, he saw tears and realized where it ate her. Would you excuse us for a minute, officer? Graham said. He took Reba's hand. Look here. There was plenty wrong with Dollar Hyde, but there's nothing wrong with you. You said he was kind and thoughtful to you. I believe it. That's what you brought out in him. At the end, he couldn't kill you, and he couldn't watch you die. People who study this kind of thing say he was trying to stop. Why? Because you helped him. That probably saved lives. You didn't draw a freak. You drew a man with a freak on his back. Nothing wrong with you, kid. If you let yourself believe there is, you're a sap. I'm coming back to see you in a day or so. I have to look at cops all the time and I need relief. Try to do something about your hair. She shook her head and waved him toward the door. Maybe she grinned a little. He wasn't sure. Graham called Molly from the St. Louis FBI office. Willie's grandfather answered the telephone. It's Will Graham, Mama, he said. Hello, Mr. Graham. Willie's grandparents always called him Mr. Graham. Mama said he killed himself. She was looking at Donahue and they broke in with it. Damn lucky thing. Saved you fellows a lot of trouble catching him. Saves us taxpayers footing any more bills for this thing too. Was he really white? Yes, sir. Blonde. Looked Scandinavian. Willie's grandparents were Scandinavian. May I talk to Molly, please? Are you going back to Florida now? Soon. Is Molly there? Mama, he wants to speak to Molly. She's in the bathroom, Mr. Graham. My grandboy's eating breakfast again. Been out riding in that good air. You ought to see that little bugger eat. I bet he's gained 10 pounds. Oh, here she is. Hello. Hi, hotshot. Good news, huh? Looks like it. I was out in the garden. Mama came out and told me what she saw on TV. When did you find it? Late last night. Why didn't you call me? Mama was probably asleep. No, she was watching Johnny Carson. I can't tell you, Will. I'm so glad you didn't have to catch him.
I'll be here a little longer.
4 or 5 days?
I'm not sure. Maybe not that long. I want to see you, kid.
I want to see you too, when you get through with everything you need to do.
Today's Wednesday.
By Friday, I ought to. Will, Mama has all Willie's uncles and aunts coming down from Seattle next weekend.
Fuck Mama. What is this Mama anyway?
When Willie was real little, he couldn't say, "Come home with me." Will, I've waited for you. They never get to see Willie, and a few more days.
Come yourself. Leave Willie there, and your ex-mother-in-law can stick him on a plane next week. Tell you what, I'll stop in New Orleans. There's a place called...
I don't think so. I've been working, just part-time, at this Western store in town, and I have to give them a little notice.
What's wrong, Molly?
Nothing. Nothing's wrong. I got so sad, Will. You know I come up here after Willie's father died. She always said Willie's father, as though it were an office. She never used his name. And we were all together. I got myself together. I got calm. I've gotten myself together now, too, and I...
Small difference. I'm not dead.
Don't be that way.
What way? Don't be what way?
You're mad. Graham closed his eyes for a moment. Hello?
I'm not mad, Molly. You do what you want to do. I'll call you when things wind up here.
You could always come here.
I don't think so.
Why not? There's plenty of room. Mama would...
Molly, they don't like me, and you know why. Every time they look at me, I remind them.
That's not fair, and it's not true either. Graham was very tired.
Okay, they're full of shit, and they make me sick. Try that one.
Don't say that.
They want the boy. Maybe they like you all right. Probably they do, if they ever think about it. But they want the boy, and they'll take you. They don't want me, and I could care less. I want you. In Florida. Willie too, when he gets tired of his pony.
You'll feel better when you get some sleep.
I doubt it. Look, I'll call you when I know something here.
Sure. She hung up.
Ape shit, Graham said. Ape shit.
Crawford stuck his head in the door.
Did I hear you say ape shit? You did.
Well, cheer up. Answorth called in from the set. He has something for you. He said we ought to come out there. He's got some static from the locals.